They tried.
Back in Blackwater.
What up, and welcome to another episode of Brotherhood Without Manners, your favorite full spoiler reread podcast of George R.R. Martin's The Song of Ice and Fire series. I'm Nate. As always, joining me is my brother and my favorite goon, this guy.
Yo,
Zach.
I think that's the nicest thing you've ever said about me.
He said yo while I was trying to say Zach. Yay! But you probably already knew that if you've made it this far into the series. If not, and this is your first time listening for whatever reason, hi.
Man, how do you do it? How do you just pick a random series and jump in at the middle?
Yeah,
Can you?
It blows my mind.
Like, I don't know if it's like an OCD thing in my brain. I'm not obviously trying to self-diagnose myself with OCD, but like, I just can't do it. I have to start at 0 at podcast episode 1, even if it's a series that has 872
that's
episodes.
Exactly. So
and
quick, free
yeah, if you're just jumping in, we are full spoiler. We like to read and talk about A Song of Ice and Fire congruently, as this is a reread. So, therefore, go away if you haven't read the series, or if you don't mind spoilers, stick around, because you'll hear some dope shit.
If you've been here before, thanks for remaining our friends and coming back. We appreciate it. We love you.
I mean, we consider you friends. Do you consider us friends?
All right. Don't scare them off. Stop. So, if you've joined us last episode, we were reading Sansa 6.
We were in the midst of Blackwater bullshit.
Man, it's happening.
And so I really like the two different looks we get, because we got Tyrion on the battlefield and Sansa up with the high folk, the high ladies.
Yeah.
But there are a couple high lords in there as well, Lord Giles.
Lord Giles in there.
But yes, Sansa had been invited to Maegor's Holdfast with Cersei and the other high ladies, and Cersei was basically giving her some lessons about what happens when a city is sacked and why Ser Ilyn is truly kicking around. And it's just, she's getting drunk. Cersei's getting a little more crazy and a little more real with Sansa.
She forces Sansa to drink.
Forces Sansa to drink.
It's a pretty rough chapter.
Mentions that, she might have to try to seduce Stannis. Fat chance of that ever happening, but Sansa had best learn to use the weapon between her legs if she ever hopes to get anywhere in this life, because tears aren't a woman's only weapon. And we get small reports of the Blackwater being on fire and Joffrey supposedly inspiring all the men, which is bullshit, as we know.
Yeah, but we've gotten most of what's actually been going out from Davos and Tyrion's
But this episode,
well.
we're reading Tyrion 14, and last we had left Tyrion. Tyrion was commanding the basic explosions on the Blackwater, taking care of that, making sure the chain was going and keeping an eye on that, and then heard reports that the Mudgate was being attacked and the Kingsgate was getting rammed, and so he took off with Ser Mandon Moore and Pod beside him and went and found the Hound, who was devastated from being out.
He was refusing to go back.
He was afraid of the
out.
fire because everything was on fire. He lost a ton of his men, and Tyrion challenged him on it and told him, no, you're going back out. You need to defend this gate, and the Hound was done, so Tyrion decided he would lead the sortie himself. He shamed the men to follow him out, and he rode out with all his bluster.
And now, technically, Sansa's last chapter had surpassed this time.
So a little bit of time has passed since Tyrion has rode through that gate. And where we pick up now, where
is immediately after.
Through his helm's visor, Tyrion's vision is limited only to what he can see in front of him.
Yeah, and so he's gone out the gate, and out in front of him, he can see 3 large galleys have beached. They're letting troops off to fight against his forces, and there's a 4th that is out in the water just launching barrels of burning pitch.
Yeah, so Tyrion commands his men to form up from the sally port in the form of a spearhead. Ser Mandon Moore takes his place at Tyrion's right, bearing the king's standard, his dead eyes shining through his helm passionately. What a fucking word.
That's a mouthful.
And very for sure, the dead eyes.
Yeah.
He's just
a
scary guy.
He just wants to kill. And he looks to his left, and to his surprise, little Podrick Payne is sitting there. And he says, "No, you're too young." And he's like, "My lord, I'm your squire."
I'm your squire, motherfucker.
Dude, what a fucking... No, I'm your squire.
I'm supposed to attend you in battle.
Like, this is how it's supposed to go. Sorry.
There's no time to argue, so Tyrion tells him, "With me, then, stay close," and kicks his horse into motion. They all follow, knee to knee, basically, in this charge, following the looming walls with arrows and stones flying down. Ahead was the King's Gate and a surging mob of soldiers that were wrestling with a large black ram.
Right. Now, this is the ram that we heard about from his previous chapter that was landed in the tourney grounds and coming to take the King's Gate.
Archers from the ships had surrounding them, loosing shafts at any defenders they saw. Tyrion calls for lances and speeds his horse up. The ground is sodden and slippery, equal parts mud and blood, and his horse is having a hell of a time.
Yeah, so there's a point where he almost takes a fall.
Yeah.
He's worried that he actually was about to make a fool of himself by never actually starting the fight, falling off before it ever
But he
even
keeps
begins.
his balance, draws his axe, and shouts King's Landing as they approach. And the others took up the cry as the arrowhead flew.
Yeah, so Stannis' men on the ram, they don't even get, like, they're so focused on what's going on with them, they don't get a chance to even realize, oh shit, we're fucked. We're being attacked from behind.
Ser Mandon Moore buried the banner, the shaft of the banner, into a man's chest, snapping it off. And ahead, Tyrion sees a knight with a recognizable sigil. Florent was his first thought. Helmless ran a close second. He smashed the man in the face, taking half of his head off.
So I wanted, because we're now right at the start of him actually being in the battle.
Right, Tyrion just killed his first man in this battle.
And he's kind of,
besides the wildfire.
I find it funny that he, technically in my mind, if he had Rhaegar and spent a little more time out of the library and out on the training field,
he could be a serious
dude. There's no reason he couldn't be a serious threat on the battlefield.
I mean, he fucks shit up here,
and that's it. He thinks his methods are bad, but like he fucks shit up.
I mean, it's his second battle, so I mean third if
battle,
you count
the
Klansmen.
But and the fact that he's doing this well, and that he just.
Because he thinks, after hacking half this man's head off, he thinks the shock of the impact numbed his shoulder. Shagga would laugh at me. No, Shagga's felt that as well.
Absolutely.
He's felt that blow, that holy shit, that's a good, strong hit there. And Pod galloped beside him, slashing at every foe they pass.
Every foe possible. Dude, Pod is like... He's my hero.
Yeah, I mean, that just shows, like, Pod isn't cowering. He's actually willing, because, it's one thing to say, yeah, I'll ride beside you. Pod would, I think, be excused for riding there, not drawing his sword, just keeping up with Tyrion, like, oh, fuck. But instead, he did draw his sword, and he's actively...
He's helping and killing.
Yeah, and he dimly hears cheers from the walls as the men handling the ram drop it to either fight or flee.
And so basically that's just the men that were up there shooting arrows at the ram guys.
Yeah, the King's Landingers.
Not having good luck because they're so far under the wall they can't get good angles. They're like, yo, they just saved our fucking gate.
Woohoo! Yeah. Tyrion rides down an archer, and then opens a spearman from shoulder to armpit. His mount reared at the ram.
So he plans on jumping over the ram in front that the guys dropped so that he can chase more
Keep
down.
going, yeah.
And his horse is like, nah, fuck that.
But
not Mandy Moore's. She flies over this thing.
And I just like the description, death in snow white silk, as he just goes over and starts hacking these fleeing attackers to bits.
Right, yeah.
And it's so cool for the foreshadowing of what happens at the end.
Dude, death in snow white silk. That's what I wanted to bring up is like the foreshadowing there.
Yeah. It's such a contrast, death you normally associate with dark.
Well, I just think it's
black.
funny that it's Tyrion himself thinking, look at him, death in snow, but doesn't realize he is death coming for you. Yeah. But yeah, so anyway, he finally gets his horse to get over the ram, and he's lost sight of Podrick.
Yep.
My heart, if we weren't full spoiler and know that Podrick doesn't die until the end of Dance, then I would have started crying here because I'd be like,
right.
And the first time I read through this, I didn't have as much of an attachment for Podrick Payne because I didn't understand the glory and win that was that man. But anyway, where was I?
You didn't have a rod for Pod?
I didn't have a rod for Pod yet.
So an arrow narrowly hits Tyrion in the eye. It skims off his helm, and he's like, oh, I'm a fucking sitting duck. I need to move.
Chilling,
so he spurns his horse to move around and over corpses, and he sees that the Blackwater is still afire. There are patches of it, like oil, basically, I picture, still sending flames 20 feet high. He sees fighting all along the waterfront. Balin Swan, or Lancel's men, most like, but he can't tell. So he announces, "We'll ride for the Mudgate."
Yo, and Mandon Moore hears him, and I think this is like kind of a. He's also just.
This is caught up in the battle right
and
now.
he's like, "All right, to the Mudgate."
Yeah, the hand commands the Mudgate, and they're off.
Everyone starts cheering at that. They're like, "Fuck yeah!"
Shouts at King's Landing, and Half Man are shouted, and he kind of is like, "I wonder where they heard Half Man. Probably from fucking Shaga."
You motherfucking
But
Klansman.
he can hear screams as well, and crackling fire, war horns and trumpets.
Dude, now I really like this part because I think it would be fun to see Tyrion and the Hound interact in the future in the series.
Right.
Like after where we're currently at.
I mean, it would be great if, Tyrion didn't take the wound that he does, to see Tyrion coming back into the gate and Sandor there. With Sandor having gone out into that shit, and then Tyrion having gone out into that shit, coming back all fucked up, then having a conversation,
right,
would be great.
But yeah, to think about it now with how he's given him like the no fucking, like everybody knows the Hound's not fond of fire to begin with. It's hell out here.
Yeah,
it's
there's fire
insane.
everywhere, and no wonder he was afraid. It's the flames he fears, obviously. It kind of hits him like, duh, he was burned. I also just like the way Martin slows it down here, like.
Well, yeah, he does these cool.
It's just, I think it's realistic of the things he's noticing, the things he's thinking about. It's all it takes on a very surreal tone of just fire everywhere. It's basically he is in hell as there's men dying in bloody pools around him.
Well, that and then next there's just this giant crash that goes across the bay, like. Because one of the stones from a trebuchet just crashed through a galley and just.
What ship it is, he can't tell. But he does note at this point that his wedge has completely disintegrated.
Yeah, the spearhead that they had formed
Every
up.
man was his own battle now. And so he notes that the axe is heavy in his hand, and his horse needs coaxing, as it liked the fire no more than the Hound did.
He also does say that he should have turned back.
Yeah.
He's like, I should have went back. Fuck.
Men crawled from the river.
So,
yeah.
Which reminds me that it is very similar to what Theon said. A couple chapters
I should have gone with her.
I should have gone with her. I should have, but I feel like Tyrion's not he should have gone isn't quite as accurate as Theon's. Theon, yes, you should have gone.
Tyrion should have gone for circumstances he doesn't know
exactly.
are in play. Man,
like because you should be where you are right now.
You're doing great. Yeah,
but,
you absolutely did what needed to be done. But Mandon Moore plans to kill you at the behest of Joffrey, I believe. And so you're kind of fucked there. And but you should have gone back to avoid that. Yeah, it's cool. Right. That's a cool comparison.
But he keeps killing because as they're riding along, they see the men crawling out of the water,
burned and bleeding, most dying.
Yeah, vile. And anyone that is strong enough to stand up to their reach,
they gave them quicker, cleaner deaths.
They kill them quicker and faster.
The war shrank down to the size of his eye slit. Knights twice the size of twice his size.
Twice the size of Pod.
I don't know why I'm reading down a bit, but twice his size fled or died. They seemed little things before him and fearful. He shouts Lannister, and when his horse rears, he shook his axe at the stars, and the men shouted, "Half man! Half man!"
Yeah,
and Tyrion felt drunk.
Not to keep just cutting in here, but this I feel like goes back to what I was saying just a minute ago, where with him training. But more on the power trip he's getting. And it's before he even realizes that he's getting that drunk, but just that how big he feels, how powerful and strong, because he's like men twice his size, coward
are running from him,
and they just seemed like such little things. And how often does he feel that way?
Well, that's it. In a war, you don't have to worry about the politics and whose house. You can just fucking take an axe to a man's head. And with that power, all men are equal. All men have the ability to take life if you put a sword in their hand. Like, every man is capable, regardless of size, and Tyrion's realizing that. Just as easily with an axe, I can kill this man as easily as he would kill me. And we learn that time and again through this chapter. Pod with Mandon Moore,
which we get White Death,
right?
Like Death
right.
in White
he is
Silks.
Fucking, and then later with
the
Balin Swan,
they
make battle seem a graceful dance. Like, Pod kills this guy. It doesn't matter what you do in war. It's chaos.
Look at Syrio Farrell.
Every man has the ability to kill. And Tyrion's getting drunk on that power. I'm their equal in warfare, on the battlefield, essentially. And so
yeah, this is when he kind of realizes this is that feeling that Jamie always described. Yep. This is that battle fever that
he never thought to experience for himself. The time seemed to slow and blur. There was nothing but this instant. Your fears fled. You stopped thinking, feeling. You stopped being you. There is only the fight, the foe, this man, and the next, and the next, and the next. And I don't know if you have more. It was a quite long quote.
No, it was tight.
And, yeah, it's just, one, that he goes back to Jamie because Jamie is his...
I lied. I did put I liked the end where it said, death is all around you, but their swords move so slowly, you can dance through them laughing.
Right.
And, yeah, so just the whole thing is... I don't know, that feeling, because it's not only combat, obviously, that does that kind of thing. People talk about the jogger's high, the runner's high.
Right.
I know back when I was doing acting and stuff before a show, like as you're about to go out on stage for the first time, it's like, you get that.
Dungeon mastering for Dungeons and Dragons is its own kind of high.
So, I mean, I imagine the combat's a little more stressful than anything I've done personally, but, like... It's cool for him to experience that thing that is, one more thing to tie him to Jamie.
Right. And it's empowering. I mean, he's got the ability to end life here, just like every other person on the battlefield does. And so he's feeling, and there's not the politics, whereas the Hand, he's got to deal with Cersei. He can't just outright have people killed because that's not the way it works. Right. Here on the battlefield, he's judge, jury, and executioner, and we see that with a man who yields to him here in a little bit as well.
Yeah.
But drunk on the power, he thinks, I am half a man and drunk with slaughter. Let them kill me if they can.
Yeah.
And as Tyrion is rearing and shaking his fist at the stars, we're going to...
convene our small council.
Horrible timing, but convene our small council.
No, we did this on purpose. Suffer. What up? Welcome to the Small Council. I'm Nate. This is Zach. We're the same hosts that are always here, so why would it be any different than any other time?
True that.
Anyway, the Solomon.
Yeah,
so the Small Council, which is where we're at now, is where we like to give you our socials and various ways in which you can contact us.
Yeah.
One of which is by searching us on YouTube. And a lot of people like to chat with us over there, and so I just wanted to actually bring up quickly before I give a whole bunch of different socials and ways to reach out. A quick shout out to Stephanie from the YouTube, who was talking to us about last Tyrion chapter, Tyrion 13, I believe, and she just had this to say. I liked it a lot, so I want to read it. She honestly thinks all the negative connotations we get with fire in the books is there for a reason. Off the top of her head, Jon thinking that only a monster would give someone to the flame, Sandor's PTSD, and Davos's trauma over Blackwater is meant to make us question Dany currently having 3 dragons. I think that's an unbelievable point. Just, all these times that the fire's coming up, not just as she mentioned in Tyrion's chapters, but everybody's chapters. Absolutely could be just kind of putting that fear in all of us of the fire for when Dany makes her way to Westeros. We'll see.
Fire and blood.
The next thing she had to say, again, I really liked, is the Aegon line reminds me of my hate for the Tyrion is a Targ theory.
Oof.
It misses the point of Tyrion's story, that he is Tywin's son, despite Tywin's rejection. The lifelong rejection Tyrion experiences from his creator, Tywin, alludes to the rejection of the monster experiences from Frankenstein.
Right.
Frankenstein's one of my all-time favorite pieces of literature.
That theory is one of my least favorite things I've ever heard.
That as well.
I agree with you 100%. I hate the idea that Tyrion is a Targaryen. I think that that's a cheap cop-out because there's not going to be a Targaryen in every fucking closet.
In every house.
At this point, we've gotten Aemon at the wall. We've got Jon Snow, obviously, everyone as the confirmed, not confirmed, missing Targaryen. Dany, we've had fucking... with the stuff with Rhaegar as far as like a back Targaryen but recent Targaryen where there's stuff. We've got Fagon or Aegon, whichever one you prefer. We don't need another Targaryen who may or may not. I think Aerys decided to take Tywin's wife. Her name is escaping me at the moment, and that pisses me off. Whenever he wanted, because him and Tywin had some strife. I don't think she got pregnant and had Tyrion in some fucking crazy thing.
No, yeah.
Love that you hate it too.
I love tinfoil theories.
Right.
I'm that guy.
Yeah, you believe Bruce Bolton's a fucking vampire.
Bruce Bolton is a fucking vampire, and Garrett
Don't start this
is
shit.
Colfax.
We got to get our socials.
Oh, yeah, social.
This
Sorry.
is small
All right,
council.
Yeah, small council stuff. Anyway, yes, we agree, and thank you for writing to us, Stephanie. Wonderful, wonderful stuff. Anyway.
So search us on YouTube if you want to comment and be part of the discussion.
Subscribe to that
Stephanie is throwing out there because she's got some great stuff.
Good stuff.
You can also send us more long-winded stuff at our email withoutmannersbrotherhood@gmail.com. Nate is on Twitter @mannerswithout. That is also the Instagram. I'm on Twitter @carstark92.
It's just weird seeing you contribute to the social.
Let's move this along.
So, we are also on Facebook, facebook.com/brotherhoodpodcast. And we have our Patreon, patreon.com/mannerswithout.
We also have a website. You can just go there.
brotherhoodwithout.com has links to everywhere, as well as the archives of all the past episodes. So check those out.
Give us rating reviews wherever you can. That'd be sweet.
Yeah, and I think that's what we'll let you have today. Oh, go vote and nominate us for the Podcast Awards 2020.
And go vote.
Vote for the election. That should be without saying. No, it has to be said. Go vote.
Go vote.
But also go nominate and vote for us.
Nominate and vote for us in the Podcast Awards.
Yes,
for comedy.
thank you. Woo! And the People's Choice Awards. Fuck yeah!
Oh, all right.
So thanks. We'll see you back in the episode. They tried.
Back in Blackwater.
Yeah.
So, Tyrion continues on. He kills a spearman and laughs as his horse kicks an archer to the ground. A knight comes up and hacks at his shield until someone thrusts a dagger under his arm. Tyrion never saw who.
So, Tyrion also rode around in circles, cutting the portions off of a guy.
Yep.
Starting with, like, the fingers.
Yeah, I think that was the spearman. He cuts the spear head first.
Then his hand.
Then his hand.
Then his arm. Yeah. And then his, like, holy shit, dude, you're into this fighting stuff.
Another archer, the archer ran up to him and tried to loose an arrow. He had an arrow that he was using as like a dagger.
He was jabbing it.
And the horse kicked him in the thigh and sent him flying.
Laughing.
Yeah. And then a different knight further on yielded to him. The man lay in a puddle of black water offering a lobstered gauntlet. And as Tyrion took it, a pot of wildfire ignited, showing him the puddle was blood and that the hand was still inside the gauntlet. And Tyrion threw it back, fucking reeling as the man, sobbing, is pleading.
And then he booked
I mean, like, God damn.
It was just, it's not even him refusing the yield. That's fucking shocking, yo.
It's comic relief, but in such a, like,
dark
this
way.
dude is so fucked up that he's handing his hand to yield. Like, don't hurt me anymore. Fuck, I'm so fucked up. Just,
please, yeah.
Yeah, like he's sobbing, and then Tyrion's like, oh, fuck, there's a hand in here. So he reels back and heads off. A man grabs at Tyrion's horse's bridle.
Happens.
What?
Oh, fuck, there's a hand in here.
Man grabs at Tyrion's horse's bridle and stabs at him with a dagger, and Tyrion just kills him with the axe, buries the axe in his neck. As he sees a flash of white out of the corner of his eye and thinks, oh, Mandy Moore is back. But instead, it's Ser
Balon Swan.
Covered in gore. Splattered in it. And he points with his mace that is dripping blood and brain and bone matter.
This guy is sick.
He's been bashing motherfucking skulls in.
Like, he's just like, my lord.
And Tyrion sees the Blackwater is still afire, and he sees the bridge of ships, a jumble of galleys that are tangled and jammed together so close that it is possible to leap from one deck to the other, which Tyrion notes hundreds of Stannis Baratheon's bravest were doing so now.
Yeah, there was even a couple dumb enough to try and taking horses across the shit.
He sits here and thinks how dumb they are, but he does the exact same thing. Right, and he's the one who like, these guys are making it.
Right.
The one he's watching is actually doing it and getting it.
Yeah.
Tyrion's the idiot whose horse breaks his leg and he falls.
And so he looks over at Balon Swan and he goes, that's a lot of brave men over there. In admiration, it does say, Martin wrote, like, he respects them.
Yeah.
Let's go kill them.
This is the line he delivers in the show when he's doing the sortie and going outside the gate. Those are brave men knocking out our doors. Let's go kill them.
Because I think Julian mentioned that in one of his emails, how he really liked that scene. It was a great scene by Peter Dinklage and everything, and he was kind of looking forward to it. This is where it's delivered.
I love it so much more.
I think it's much more impactful from the battlefield.
And to Balon Swan.
Yeah,
where
like,
these two have literally been fucking shit up individually. And so now, let's go kill these motherfuckers. And so Tyrion led them to the waterfront. His men and Ser Balon's spread out behind them. Ser Mandon ends up riding up and falling in with them, his shield hacked to pieces. The enemy broke before them, stumbling back to the river. In the foot of the bridge was a half-sunken galley of Stannis' own. Ser Balon, as they ride up, Ser Balon gets thrown from his saddle as his horse gets stabbed.
Yeah, somebody comes a great sword up into the chest of his horse.
While he's trying to dismount.
And this is as they're riding up onto the boat.
Yeah.
So they're going from the beach now at this point,
up
just to give an idea.
The bridge of the ships.
Yeah, up into the bridge of the ships, which is beginning with a broken, busted down giant ship of Stannis's.
Yep.
So they're actually riding up this boat to start crossing onto other broken, floating boats that are partially up, that are flat like a raft, that are just a mess.
Tyrion continues up and his horse leaps, jumping over the gunwale and lands with a splash and a scream in ankle-deep water. The deck rose up and gave him a wet smack.
Yeah, so what happens here, if you can't tell, is the horse goes over the first portion of the first boat,
so
onto the second spot.
Yep.
And on the second one,
don't land so well.
It's like a raft, and so instead of being a big boat, it goes down a few feet, which scares the fuck out of the horse. It doesn't know what's happening, so it loses. Then Tyrion goes down.
Right. Madness followed. The horse had broken a leg and was screaming terribly, so Tyrion somehow managed to find his dagger and slit the poor creature's throat. Then he was on his feet, struggling and lurching across crooked decks. Men came at him. He killed some, wounded some, and some went away, but there were always more.
Dang.
He'd lost his knife, but gained a broken spear, though he had no clue how. He'd chased men ship to ship, screaming curses, while his two white shadows, Ser Balon and Ser Mandon, fought back to back, making battle seem as graceful as a dance.
Yo, so I'm wondering,
So, Tyrion is chasing people with a spear, and they're running from him. Both, I think, running from him and running to get across the ships. But
here's my question. Are they at all running from him?
I think so.
Or are they running from Mandon Moore and Balon Swan, who are running right behind Tyrion? And they're like, oh, fuck, those two Kingsguard are after me. Oh, yeah, the imp's in front of them,
No, because Tyrion has said that he killed some, wounded others, and some just fled. He's engaging men. He's killed men on this bridge by this point. And so I think it's a mix of men just, one, saying fuck any fighting on the bridge. My goal is to get to King's Landing, get across, and form up. Right. And then you got the guys who are like, no, I'm going to stop these Kingsguard and everything, so they go up and approach. And then you've got some who are just either defeated by Tyrion or just laughing at him like, fuck that, but see Ser Balon and Ser Mandy Moore, and they're like, oh yeah, fuck that noise. I'm not engaging
I said that. I put here that Balon and Mandy Moore have a sick duet on the boat here. Just this yacht concert that's just happening out here.
Tyrion's own killing was clumsy. He stabbed a man in the kidney as he had his back turned. He upended another into the river, and he was just constantly under fire of arrows and actually ended up taking one between shoulder and breastplate, but didn't even feel it.
Yeah, so that's part of that battle fever again, with just the adrenaline pumping, just he's not feeling nothing.
A naked man flings down and smashes, explodes into bits in front of
Joffrey.
him. Yeah. Followed immediately by stones that just began crashing down on the decks of the ships until the whole bridge twisted and jerked violently, knocking Tyrion sideways.
Now, I think that this here, on top of the obviously Joffrey naked man launching the stones, are King's Landing as well. However, and I would have to go back and look to find the name, Tyrion told the guy to adjust the whores so many degrees.
Right.
That's that motherfucker in here fine-tuning, going, yo, we need to take out that bridge.
Oh, yeah.
Turn them 12 more degrees.
That absolutely
12 more
would
degrees.
be the focus of the catapults.
And so, yeah.
That's a bridge. They just formed a
bridge.
We need to break it
up. I think it's super cool that Tyrion was like, no, tell him he's doing a bang-up job.
Right.
He's doing such a bang-up job that he is spot on.
He doesn't know
that
Tyrion's
bridge
out there.
and has no idea that Tyrion's out there doing it. And I just thought that was super neat.
I mean, yeah, that's the casualty of war. You end up killing some of your own in these maneuvers that you have to do. And the river begins to fill his helm as he was knocked sideways.
Yeah, he got bumped.
He rips it off and begins crawling along the deck until the water is only up to his neck. A large crack sounds as the bridge begins to break apart, and he slides back into the water.
So now, for this part, you should basically just picture towards the end of Titanic when the boat is tipping.
Just getting more and more steep.
The part of the ship the piece of ship that he's on of this bridge is like the hull of a ship that's kind of up that way. And that's where he's going to end up finding Mandy Moore in just a minute, is up at the railing at the top, kind of like Jack and what's-her-face, Kate, there at the end.
Well, Tyrion never lets go because he begins to climb up using a snapped line that he just inch by inch pulls up. I'll never let go.
Don't let go.
And he sees ships that were engaged with his pull away and begin to spin down the river, grabbed by the current. And there's just fucking fire everywhere.
Yeah, and this is
he
when
gets all turned around now because his ship begins turning as well.
And so he looks up, and this is when he realizes, I don't know where the fuck I am. Right? Well, hold on.
He sees battle on one side of him along the shore, and the Red Keep on the other, launching its stones and burning pitch. And he's like, wait the fuck a minute. How is there battle on Stannis' side? If Stannis hasn't crossed yet, there should be no one for him to engage. So who the fuck is he fighting? Which, full spoiler reread, Tywin Lannister has arrived on the scene.
Tywin is there.
And Lancel Lannister will begin arriving here very soon on the other. So, yeah, Tywin has engaged Stannis' men in the Kingswood?
In the north side, not because the Kingswood's southwest. And so up on the north shore of Blackwater Bay, which I can't quite recall what it's... the northern shore of Blackwater Bay.
But Tyrion's got no mind capacity to fucking handle this.
Dad's here.
And fatigue begins to set in. He's like, fuck me. His shoulder starts to ache from where he took the arrow. And he's like, I gotta get off this goddamn ship. And he looks downstream and sees the chain and the absolute
carnage,
wall of fire.
What Davos saw at the end of his last chapter. And this is when he hears someone calling for him.
Yep.
Who is that? Jack! Don't let go!
My Lord Tyrion! And as he reaches the rail, another ship slams the one that he's climbing and almost sends him flying back in. But I just picture him fully wrapped around
Well, there's
this
that
rail.
guy again in Titanic that's clutched onto the railing, like he's like looking over at them.
Tyrion looks down and a dude falls and hits the propeller. But he
so he sees Mandy Moore leaning over, asking him to come up on stage
on the deck of another ship.
Yeah.
Then there's a gulf of black water between them that's widening. So their ships are pulling apart, and it's this "give me your hand" moment Mandy Moore has his hand extended.
And it's not until the very last second that it occurs to him something's not right here.
I mean, he's been watching them fight all night.
That's it. And
he sees that it's his left hand extended, not his dominant hand, not his right hand.
Right.
And Tyrion thinks, I don't know, he's not sure if that's why he reeled back, or if he actually saw the sword after all. But he would never know.
After a night of combat like this, I absolutely think that he's in his third battle.
I think he noticed the dominant hand.
I think it was a combination of everything. The dominant hand, that natural
the stance,
reaction.
Like that he's probably taken, he's ready to strike.
I think he's got enough battle knowledge here at this point that he's like, no, this guy's coming in. Whether he consciously realized it, doesn't matter.
The point slashed just beneath his eyes, and he felt its cold, hard touch, then a blaze of pain. His head spun as if he was slapped, and he is knocked into the water and immediately scrambles, grabbing a broken oar, and he pulls himself up until he's able to get up onto the side of the deck and roll over and lay flat on his back exhausted. So, we did have correspondence from our friend Julian, who said language was pretty confusing in this one, that it was pushing the extent of his English to the test, and so Tyrion's face just got fucked up.
Yeah.
Much more devastating than in the show.
Yeah.
And so, mainly I'm saying that to say he was then knocked into the water and able to pull himself up. Like
his face is cut in half.
He's got a
just below the eyes
gash in his fucking face.
One side of under
an
his
arrow
left eye.
in his shoulder,
no shit.
And he is pulling himself up an oar to get onto this ship. I mean, obviously it's adrenaline. It's that fight or flight.
So, and a few things I want to pull to the forefront here. He's got this gaping wound now. You know, this 8-inch gash across his face. And he falls into the Blackwater Bay.
Salty water.
Which is salt water. And he does say the cold of the water was almost more painful than the... Just all of that after the night of battling. And to still be able to pull yourself up with... and he's not wearing full plate armor.
Right.
But to be able to pull yourself at all.
Wet.
The weight from that axe all night and those weapons, your arms are dead. Fuck.
Flames crackled overhead and sort of mingle with the stars. And he thinks it's beautiful. Just before Ser Mandon blocked out the view and puts his sword to the hollow of Tyrion's throat with both hands wrapped around the hilt. And suddenly, he's lurched to the side.
And into a railing.
Into the railing, breaking it, and
with a shout
and a splash.
He was gone.
He vanished.
Bye-bye.
And someone suddenly is kneeling over him. And
it must be Jamie.
Jamie? Well, he croaks it because he's basically choking on his blood at this point.
Yeah, he's drowning in his own blood.
And who else would save him, though, in this time of his
There could be
need?
nobody else. Be still, my lord. You're hurt bad.
And he's like, a boy's voice? That doesn't make any fucking sense. It almost sounded like Pod. And then I imagine, because it doesn't say it, but yeah, I would imagine that Tyrion blacks the fuck out.
Yeah, he blacks out here.
Podrick Payne fucked up Mandon Moore, shoved his ass to the... And he's in his full Kingsguard armor, so that motherfucker sank to the bottom.
Dude, I love you,
And that is the end of Tyrion 14. Much more savage in the show. They obviously... Or in the book than in the show. They obviously didn't want to damage Peter Dinklage's handsome face, and I understand that, but I love to think about Pod's reaction here. Like that, you're hurt bad. Like... Pod is looking down on a Tyrion missing his nose just got cut off.
My lord, you're hurt.
Like,
you're hurt bad.
There's blood probably fucking everywhere. There's an arrow sticking out of his shoulder. Like, damn, Pod.
Cool.
Damn.
So, this afternoon I told you I had this little epiphany.
Yeah.
About how I feel like this might be the chapter that has, hopefully, my favorite foreshadowing in the entire series.
Mm-hmm.
Jaime was just compared, basically, to Podrick. Tyrion thought that he was Jaime. It was because who else would be saving him, but this guy we know just learned, he's been traveling and learning this political stuff with Tyrion for a while. He's not stupid. He's next going to be going with Brienne, training with her.
Yeah.
She trained Jaime's one hand until he, passes off to Ilan Payne, but... So he's going to learn swordplay, honor. I think that he's going to be what Jaime Lannister always wanted to be. Just that actual honorable knight, that unbelievable... Like, I feel like Pod's going to be a badass swordsman.
Bro, he's dead.
Dude?
He died in thieves.
You know how I feel about that, actually, though. So, Pod's alive, but...
He got hung. How is he alive? His feet were kicking. They were kicking.
It's fine. It's fine. He's fine. He's fine. Don't do this to me.
I would love
He's
it,
fine.
like, Pod as, like, commander of the Kingsguard, because he just killed one, epitomizes what they should be.
I just think that with the comparisons of Jaime, that it'd be really cool for him to be
Pod's first kill is Ser Mandon Moore.
That's not... I mean, his first named kill, I suppose.
Well,
he's been killing motherfuckers out there.
It said he was slashing at.
That motherfucker... Who do you think had that dagger that killed that
He is like Lamy in D&D. He's just... giving the help action.
Whoa.
He's basically fluttering around their head and giving you advantage.
There is nothing wrong with
Anyway, you got an inductee.
Yes, I do. It is going to Ser Arnold.
Oh, really?
Ser Arnold is the one who was commanding the trebuchets.
Yeah, okay.
And so I think because of his spot on, like, he's like fucking Michael Jordan out there, man. Just blop, just swish. Wherever he wants that stone to drop. He's probably over there like, Joffrey, you want to hit the bridge with a body? Here, no. We'll turn it 1.5 degree here. Ready? You're going to nail that right there, the barrel. Go ahead. Pull the trigger. Pull it. Whoop!
Oh, shit. I see a horse that just broke its leg. Aim for that.
Aim for that thing, dude. Aim for that thing. Yeah. So, Ser Arnold Fremen, spot on accuracy.
Cool, because I thought you were going to do it, and I didn't have any other choice. I'm going to do Pod because, holy fucking shit, I love it. I love the end of this chapter and then just I just love how he immediately reverts back to that goofy little kid that he is, where he's like, you're hurt bad, my lord. I don't really know what to do. We're on a bridge of fucking burning ships right now.
And I just killed the Kingsguard.
You're hurt bad, my lord. Stay still. So Pod for just, that composure, man. And wherever he went, because Tyrion lost sight of him for a while.
Well, and that's what makes me almost think that he was, when Tyrion was taking that knight's great sword to the shield over and over and over again.
That it was Pod that came up and jabbed him.
Maybe.
Maybe.
It was somebody he never saw.
That's a good point.
And so I thought he's been the whole time standing right there. Like, I thought it was funny.
No, that's a really good point, actually.
The whole time Pod was actually right behind him, but because he only had the slit view from his helm, he just never saw him.
You could be on. Yeah, no, and like he's just looking around,
he's just right there the whole time. Yeah.
No, that's good. All right, so yeah, Pod for me. We did get an inductee from Julian, of course. He says, "Hi, America."
Yo.
Don't call us that, please.
Please. We're not all America.
We're not all of America. What an epic, messy chapter this one is.
Like America.
Like America. Must confess my English reaches its limits, and I have had trouble to follow up where the action takes place.
That's all right. Zach's clearly having trouble following with your email.
I guess so. I'm excited. He has good stuff to say in this one. What can I say, though, is wow. What I can say, though, Jesus, I am sorry I'm butchering this. What I can say, though, is wow, does Tyrion look heroic in this battle. I don't know if it's because we live the battle through his eyes and that his battle fever makes it feel more epic, but damn, half man fought. Who else, then, can we induct in this chapter? Just kidding, I have plenty of ideas and hope that one of you is going to choose Podrick. And then again, I'm just going to go full fanboy and induct Jaime. Loving how Tyrion holds his brother in high esteem, thinking about what he told him about battles, and imagining it could only be him rescuing him at the end. Pod. Have a good one, guys. Valar Bloodaris.
Tight.
God, Julian, sorry I butchered that. Great email, great inductee.
Great inductee.
As always, we appreciate hearing from you. Yeah, I love that Tyrion immediately. And, like, it's, he could potentially be dying. He doesn't know, so his first thought is, like, Jaime? Like, Jaime's here? Jaime's here.
My brother.
But it's not Jaime, it's Pod.
But
okay. Thank you, Julian. Those were our thoughts, feelings, and inductees on Tyrion 14, which is it for Tyrion for a bit. He's got one last chapter in this book.
Yeah, but next is going to be Sansa
7. And that'll be the wrap-up of the Battle of Blackwater. And then, yes, we're going back to Dany.
Which is, I believe, Dany's last chapter?
That will be Dany's last chapter.
Yes.
And this is Sansa's second to last. Sansa will have one more after this.
Same with Tyrion.
Same with Tyrion. Yeah, no, Tyrion's got one more.
That's
like,
right. After
I meant.
Like,
Like, this one, yeah.
Tyrion has one more after this one.
Right, yes.
So next Tyrion chapter is the final Tyrion chapter.
Correct.
And then next Sansa, we have one more after
Send
that.
Send us inductees for Sansa 7, which is next, which was what you will be hearing next, which is next. So send us inductees for our next episode, Sansa 7. Cool?
That's all right.
Are you good?
That's what we said.
That's what I'm saying.
I was just letting everybody know where
You're
we're
being
at.
crazy. All right.
They understood. Listeners, you get me.
If you got a fucking problem with what I'm trying to say, then let them come and kill me.
Listeners, you get what I say.
If they
okay.
can. Kill me if you can.
Anyway.
All right.
They tried.
Valor to Harris.
Peace.